And away we go. It is the Nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken right here on BearcatJournal.com. You know the drill, www.galacticfriedchicken.com. Download the app for Android, iPhone, everything Galactic. Go to the app, have it delivered. They will bring it pretty much anywhere inside the 275 loop, right to your front door, or order carryout, or just go down to Dayton, Kentucky with the fam and enjoy the games. They've got board games, a lot of fun stuff that you can play while you wait for the Galactic goodness, and tell them to pump it up. Save yourself 15%. They are open Wednesday through Sunday, lunch and dinner. All right, Aaron, this one tonight is we don't do this often. We generally will have a little pre-show meeting and go through what we think will be interesting for the show tonight. We had some ideas tonight. A couple of them I'm not going to talk about on air. There were a couple things that were interesting, we thought, but you brought up something I think is going to be a good topic, a fun topic. We will see how it works, because this is not something that I have thought much about. So I'm going to put you in the driver's seat. You're going to drive this conversation because it was your topic. And let's have at it. This is in light of MLB All-Star Weekend, which is now 4 days. The Reds don't play again until Friday. What are we doing? But take it away. You go.
So I had some ideas. Obviously, we talked about it as one of the questions in the mailbag tonight on the BBP, where we all realized that the NFL and their All-Star program is very, very broken.
Yes.
And baseball,
it's not interesting.
No, not to anyone. I don't even watch it anymore. I don't play it on. I don't play it on video games. It's not fun. None of it is fun. That said, baseball still has fun with it. You have the celebrity softball game, which call it what you will, but I don't mind watching some of the highlights on Twitter. I watched probably the whole game when it was here in Cincinnati, as they try to get people who have a tie to the city and what have you to play in those games. Yeah. There's
the Mo Egger thing. Be good or be interesting.
There's talking points, right?
Yeah.
The home run derby obviously has been a thing of, especially for hometown guys. Todd Frazier and now Julio Rodriguez tonight. That's fun for the city, especially. So I have some ideas in that regard for all-star experiences for the NCAA. How would we do this? Well, the first thing that jumps out to me is, and tell me what your thoughts are on this specific thing before we go any deeper. How do you get people involved to where they're actually trying to be in any event? Well, now that you have NIL available, you could make that
you can pay
very easily. You could get sponsors and you could make it an NIL event. But in my head, I'm thinking maybe you could either do this 2-tier or at the very least do by conference. So you could have a bunch of different regional events going on. So people could actually get to see the people that they want to see. You're not necessarily needing to see the entire nation because you have 130 teams. So maybe you could start to do, and maybe that's something that the Big 12 could do to get young and hip, is put together an all-star game, for whether it be for football, basketball, baseball, whatever other sport you want to do. But I think that would be something that you could easily incentivize players to do. As for football, I think you could do some different things at the NCAA level that maybe could transfer into the NFL level. You can try different things as it's potentially in its infancy, and you could workshop some different ideas to see if it could transfer to the NFL level. So maybe you could do some of the drills that they do for the combine and get some guys doing some things like that and mix it in with some fun stuff like they do at the NFL level. Just some different things like that. Or you could do like the Midnight Madness, or the dunk contest, or just go with traditional dunk contests, 3-point contests,
so skill drills. College does this at the Final Four. They select the best guys from college that aren't participating in the Final Four to do a dunk contest, to do a 3-point shooting contest.
But it's not really anything that's really talked about. Not to
it's on ESPN.
But it's not talked about to the level of any of these other all-star. It's not ballyhooed as a big all-star event. Like it's, you know what I mean?
But I think that's kind of the concern, right? Is how do you, like, it's already something they do. It's already something that's broadcast on ESPN. Obviously, NIL would make it more interesting, but I think they already do the thing that's interesting, and it hasn't taken off, which is they invite, the kid that plays in the Ohio Valley Conference that can, like, do a between the legs, behind the back dunk. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Those guys are in those events already, and it hasn't skyrocketed.
Well, maybe don't do it right before the Final Four. Maybe do it, I don't know, in the Christmas break when you have a week off for everybody, essentially.
Yeah, but it's still, here's the major concern with that. You don't mess with the NFL. And the NFL is raging at that point in that window. Like, it is week 17, like week 16, week 17, whatever.
Not on a Tuesday or a Wednesday night.
Who's going to, I think that's the part that's what they do with the stuff that they do with the Final Four. They do it on like and maybe Wednesday or Thursday of the Final Four. Nobody cares. Everybody just wants to see the Final Four. I like the idea of, like, incorporating NIL, because I think that would bring, like, I guess the ultimate answer is you go get the biggest names to do it. And then you're going to, at least if you get 2 or 3 of the hottest names that didn't make the Final Four, what do you got to give them? Like $250,000 to come, whatever the case may be. And you get them to do a dunk contest. I think in college basketball, you could do more to take what they already have and make it a bigger deal. I don't know if a game would work.
No, at that, again, because you have 100
basketball all-star games are irrelevant.
You have so many players
defense.
too.
Well, but like for the right reasons, nobody plays defense. I'm not getting hurt playing defense.
I agree. And I think that's why you couldn't play a game for even college football. I think that would be even more pointless.
It makes it tough. Like, that's the hardest part. Is like, I think it's a great idea. I think it would be good for the sport. But how do you get the players to really want to, like the players that are good in college football? You're about to go make $4, $5, $7, $10, $20 million in the draft, like, depending on where you're slotted and what the so come out here and put your generational wealth on the line for $50,000. Again, what do we run into in football, Aaron? It's a lot more fucking players.
Yeah.
So the pie is a lot different than in basketball, where maybe you invite 25 players to be in an all-star game type setting. You pay a lot less for that than you do for like 75, 100 players.
Yeah, and I don't think that that's anything that you should do is a full-on game for college football. But I think that there's you could do things like a kicking competition. You could do things like a cone, like the cone drill, the shuttle.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do just bench press. I mean, obviously you do risk injury with some of those things, and some of those guys haven't necessarily got through the training that they want to put on their official.
I guess the other problem with college football is these guys are all playing bowl games. Like, in my mind, because like I said, we didn't really workshop this. It was an idea you had, and you're like, all right, let's talk about it. So
let's try it.
let's work it out in our minds. The right time to do something would be in between the semifinals and the finals for the college football playoff.
Yeah.
Most of the good players were on teams that are in bowl games. So they're playing on New Year's Day or right around New Year's Day. And then you're going to ask them, I don't know, a week later, a week and a half later, to go do this NIL-driven like skills challenge or whatever it is.
Well,
I
I guess
don't know. Like you'd have to come up with some ducats, bro. You'd have to. The
you'd
pay
also
would
have
have to be for real.
you'd also have to have your training up to where you want it to be for the combine. Otherwise, people are going to look at those numbers alongside the combine numbers, and if you don't
Well, yeah, you're not. Nobody's running a 40 at that point in time.
if you don't put up good numbers at that point, maybe that's not what you do. Maybe there's other things you can do to have fun with these kids, to give them money, to get them involved with their communities, to get them involved with a traveling party of some sort to where it goes to different cities around the country. I don't know. I'm just trying. There has to be some type of thing that can be done, especially in the world of NIL, where you can do some of this. Obviously, baseball would be super.
I agree. Yeah, baseball. The problem with baseball is the draft is like 4 days after the World Series. like it is legitimately the draft is going on right now. The College World Series ended like 72 hours ago.
But again, don't they have a break sometime during? I mean, I think it's probably finals week when they have their break. But
yeah, there's nothing to squeeze in baseball, unless the draft got moved 2-3 weeks. Could you imagine the best power hitters in college baseball with the hybrid or the aluminum bats? Ping, 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 hitting it 580 feet.
Bombs.
It would be awesome. It would be must-see TV. I would watch the shit out of a college home run derby.
Well, he had 251 home runs. You'd have to put a time limit on it. Otherwise,
now, the new thing now is it's not 10 outs. There's a timer. I used to love 10 outs, man. You got however many home runs you can hit, but you only get 10 outs. I love that format.
I mean, I'm sure there's people watching this who have plenty of ideas, and I'm very curious to see them in the comments on either BCJ or on our YouTube page on this one in particular.
Yeah.
Because maybe you have more time to think this out than we did to put together a 15-minute show.
We literally, Aaron was like, college all-star game. And I was like, all right, hit record. Let's go. Let's do that. I'm workshopping it. My brain is cognizant of stupid shit. Windows, what the ramifications,
How do you, are there any other ideas that you have though that you might?
What would be fun is you remember the old days when they would do those in the summer they would have the quarterbacks all do the throwing challenges, and they would have the moving targets 40 yards downfield with the nets. I think that would be fun. Some of those type, not what the NFL is doing currently, but some of the summer, this was, for context, this was back before the NFL figured out how to be 12 months, 24/7, 365. This was their attempts in the old days to let's have a skills challenge where the top 7 quarterbacks and then Dan Marino, who retired 14 years ago, or everybody comes out and they're throwing at these targets. And
well, that was also before quarterbacks made dumb money where they could actually build a home in Hawaii as opposed to
just going and visiting,
visit Hawaii,
or hey, let's go throw your arm out at this skills challenge and mess up your shoulder, and now your team is out $54 million for the year because you were screwing around at a skills challenge. But in college, I think that could be fun, to get to know the group of quarterbacks a little bit better. You could have wide receivers out there running routes. Obviously, it's going to suck for the offensive and defensive linemen because there's no way for them to be interesting in a format like that. There's no way for them to be interesting in the NFL Pro Bowl. That's the problem. Is those guys are nah, fam, I'm not getting in a car wreck every snap. No, I'm not doing it.
You wouldn't have them doing their bench press or leg press or anything like that because, again, if you're not fully trained up to where you want to be for the combine, you don't necessarily want those numbers to be televised unless you're a guy on the fringe where maybe you're a draft pick, maybe you're not, but then who's interested necessarily?
There could be hey, look, man. You know what was one of the biggest hits of the offseason this year? Beer Olympics. The Kelseys did it. The Bussin' with the Boys guys did it for Barstool.
good luck with that. When you start combining alcohol and athletes.
Nah, they did it. They had current, like, well, it was all former athletes mostly. I guess doing current athletes would, but Jason and Travis are current athletes.
They're a little different. They're in the twilight of their careers as opposed to.
Well, no. That's not the important thing. The important thing is they are at the absolute top of the sport.
Yeah.
Best tight end in the NFL, first or second best center in the NFL.
You aren't doing that though.
Hall of Famers. They have Super Bowl rings.
You aren't doing that as an on the rise guy.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The coaches for Jason and Travis aren't going to be like, "What the hell are you doing?"
They're still not thrilled.
But they're going to be like, "Those two are youngsters. They're so funny."
I don't think Andy Reid says that ever.
He
was pissed about the dating show.
Yeah, when Travis did a dating show now, Andy Reid would be like, "Oh, Travis, that's just Travis."
In any case, let us know your
walked up to the microphone with the presidential,
or people had him as the second most likely person to have left the cocaine at the White House.
Right.
Let us know your thoughts on BCJ or on the YouTube channel. How would you fix if you were the czar of sports? How would you create a all-star game for the NCAA?
There you go. We'll see you next time. It's the Nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken, right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!